Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great pleasure that I welcome all of you to the 6th India Today Conclave. At the risk of sounding immodest, I would like to say that the conclave makes me really proud. India Today, as some of you may know, has grown from a small fortnightly news magazine to a group spanning everything from media, from print to TV to radio to the net. And this conclave is something which I personally look forward to. And the reason is that I meet such amazing people, people who have in fact changed the world in some way. Also, it allows me a break from the daily routine to reflect, debate, and argue with people like you, and be in the world of ideas. As one wit said, small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, great minds discuss ideas. So for the next 2 days, ladies and gentlemen, we all have the opportunity to be great minds. The task is somewhat made easier because we have the privilege of being in the presence of a galaxy of formidable minds. We have a program that I believe will stimulate your intellect and hopefully enrich your life. The India Today Conclave has an interesting history. We held the first conclave in the aftermath of 9/11, an event that changed the course of the century. That was 5 years ago, when the world was steeped in nervous anxiety, when the velocity of hate shattered the calm of the so-called New World Order. Since then, the conclave seems to have made a secret covenant with history. Dramatic changes precede it or follow it, so you better watch out. At home, we had a watershed general election that saw the return of India's grand old party, ending the nation's first right-wing experiment with power. We saw the birth and growth of a prime minister who was hardly trained in politics. We have seen a dream run of the Indian economy, and it is still going on. Celebrated in Davos and other shrines of globalization, India everywhere was more than a slogan. It was reaching out to the world. The breakthrough nuclear deal with the United States was a testament of international pragmatism. Of course, it was not all that rosy. The politics of social justice divided the national mind. Globally, the beginning of the war on terror almost coincided with the first India Today conclave. Afghanistan was the prologue. Iraq, though liberated from Saddam, still rages. In the last 5 years, we argued about India's power and responsibilities, its aspirations and its attitudes, its potential and its limitations. We did it with the audacity of ideas. Our speakers included presidents and prime ministers, a queen and a chancellor, CEOs and statesmen, philosophers and policymakers, writers and filmmakers, Nobel laureates and other legends. Only the text of the theme was Indian. The context was always global. That is why the theme this year is not a total break from the past. It is not as if we have completed our 5-year plan in nation building. The conclave is now breaching boundaries, just like India. Challenges for the brave new world, I believe, are challenges for India. Can we, after all, afford to remain in nationalist isolation in a world made smaller by knowledge and technology? The information age threatens to make geography redundant. Digital democracy is no longer a piece of science fiction. The global village shrinks further at the click of a mouse or a camera. It is a world where a mediocre actress in a wedding gown can make Jodhpur the capital of international celebritydom for a few days. The news from the marketplace, too, is exhilarating. The world economy has grown at an annual rate of 3.2% since 2000. The robust performance of the US, Chinese, and Indian economies made this possible. Also, two major world economies, Germany and Japan, have come out of a prolonged slump. This is no longer an abstract, impersonal phenomenon. It is powered by the spirit of the individual. The Billionaires Club continues to expand its membership. It is a world that rewards those who make the best use of opportunities. It doesn't let dreamers down, and I can proudly say quite a few of them are from our very own country. Indian business leaders are global performers and conquerors now. The brave new world of globalization can make us heady. Should it be allowed to cloud our conscience? Should it be allowed to make us prisoners of our progress? Should it be allowed to take us away from the realities that don't fit its script? Take freedom. It was one concept that gave birth to a number of ideologies of salvation. Most of them failed us, most notably communism, which created a terror apparatus of dehumanizing proportions. When the Soviet Empire fell and the Berlin Wall was breached, as Francis Fukuyama, who is one of our distinguished speakers for this conclave, has famously said, the moment marked the end of history. Or that is what he thought. He argued the triumph of liberal democracy constituted, and I quote, the end point of mankind's ideological evolution and the final form of human government. Then, the trapdoors of history opened in the Balkans and elsewhere, and the old ghosts of nationalism and ethnicity came marching out. Provoked by this sight, another observer of the fault lines of the post-Cold War world, Professor Samuel Huntington, said the future conflicts would be clash of civilizations. And Chancellor Schroeder said last year at this conclave in his keynote address, and I quote, the talk of clash of civilizations does nothing but fuel extremism. And I'm sure you'll hear from one of our distinguished speakers in this conclave about the dialogue of civilizations. As you can see, the debate on the state of civilizations will continue in this forum. After 9/11, Afghanistan, Iraq, and a string of attacks in London, Madrid, and Mumbai, and many more, I would say it was a clash against civilization. Like business, terror too has been globalized. Ghettos of anger and disillusion multiply across the world. Various ideas of freedom are at war today, most frighteningly in the Middle East, where liberation is defined by angry gods and hungry Kalashnikovs. The Iraqi civil war, intensified by the Sunni-Shiite divide, has already made the region the post-Vietnam killing fields. The Iraq war in the beginning was a moral mission by America, though some would say it was an imperial overreach. Today, it raises some pertinent questions about international morality and American power. Can open societies be imported? Is the selective war on terror losing its moral legitimacy? The Berlin Wall may have gone, but not the one in the mind. The world is divided in another way. The war on terror and globalization of hate bring us closer to the new challenges of a dangerous world. The challenges go beyond Iraq. Already headlines are staring at us. After Iraq, is Iran next? The Tehran-Washington face-off over Iran's nuclear ambition makes that fear a possibility. Washington's veiled threats and warnings are matched by reckless presidential statements from Tehran on Holocaust and Israel. At this conclave, you will hear from one of the most important voices from this latest hotspot in the world, Iran. In certain parts of the world, the bomb has become an instrument of bargain and a weapon of nationalist delusion. North Korea is an example. There has to be a balance between national confidence, nuclear ambition, and international responsibility. It doesn't mean the global flashpoints are always elsewhere. I have no hesitation to say that the subcontinent is still one of the most dangerous places on earth. India and Pakistan are still struggling to break out of mutual mistrust. In Washington's scheme of things, Pakistan may be a frontline state for the war on terror. We cannot deny the fact that it is home to many jihadist groups. Because of this, Pakistan is always featured in some way or the other in all our conclaves. Because we cannot look into the future without seeing what happens to our troubled neighbor. As there are murmurs in the possibility of change in Pakistan, it is opportune that you will hear in this conclave from the heir of one of Pakistan's great political dynasties. Globalization has made the world flat, we have been famously told. But nobody told us much about the profusion of potholes in that flat world, about the entrapments of poverty. We have only war on terror, not one on poverty, which too divides and breeds anger that makes the world less stable. A vast section of humanity can spoil the party of the brave new world. They include people who have been left behind by the forces of globalization. They include people who don't have a password to key into the digital democracy. They include people living in places where liberal democracy is a distant dream. They include people who remain untouched by the wonders of science and technology. They include people living in zones of fear. They are the disenfranchised of the new brave world. It is our challenge to make this world accessible to them. We need a global leadership to take up the challenges, a leadership that can rise above the exigencies of politics. If the emerging powers of Asia aspire to be the scriptwriters of the new world order, they have to play a more decisive role in facing the challenges of the new century. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope the two-day sessions of the conclave will present the world with brand new ideas which can't be in short supply in this distinctive assembly of minds. Our sessions are planned in such a way that they cover a wide spectrum of the challenges from which we can't run away. Challenges in technology, information, business, politics, science, entertainment, health, and climate. The last two are concerns as urgent as the war on terror. Stem cell research will probably give us the power to play God, but saving what God has created is a problem. Global warming is no longer an abstraction, it is at our doorstep. We are living in an endangered planet, and we all want to live longer. And with globalization, what will happen to local cultures? And with the plethora of wireless devices, will we have death by iPod? You will hear about this and many more other subjects in this conclave. Our distinguished speakers include, among others, a statesman from Iran who embodies the finest of Persian civilization. The brave daughter of Pakistan, who is synonymous with the struggle of homecoming and freedom. Our Prime Minister, who is riding a roaring economy. A trendy political philosopher from America who makes sense of the post-9/11 world. The highest guru of good health and longevity. And some sporting legends too. So ladies and gentlemen, in the imagination of Aldous Huxley, the brave new world was a dystopia, a world state perfected by genetic engineering and pleasure-inducing drugs. The world we live in is a wonderful place, but it is far from perfect. We have here an unelected parliament of what the author of Brave New World would have called alpha plus intellects. So what we need now are some brave new resolutions. By tomorrow evening, if you please. Thank you.